I feel like for the most of my career, I've been an entrepreneur. In fact, it's still my dream to continue to be an entrepreneur. I think this is the most fun part of having any ideal job. I think entrepreneurs are even more fun than entrepreneurs.
Oh, really? But see, you switched to entrepreneur. So that's interesting that you said that. Why do you say you think you want to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I feel like the entrepreneur gets all the fun of building the crazy fun stuff and have the personal growth, but don't have the burden of like carrying the whole company on your shoulders. So it's like it's all fun, but less stress or whatever. It's like focus on your personal enjoyment of your career growth, of your learning. So personally, I was like, oh, that's great. And then also, I actually started my entrepreneur career way early, maybe like 7 or 8 years old, way before it is legally to work in the United States.
What was that when you were 7 or 8?
I grew up in a poor Chinese village, and when I say village, it's probably 1 million people. Like it's large village, and there's not a lot of land. So my dad has been doing a lot of business in order just to survive, right? If you don't produce income from the land, you need to get it from somewhere, and that's the entrepreneur part of him. And as his oldest daughter, I'm always his right-hand woman in running the business. So, for
Ah, yeah.
example, my dad would be raising a big, like a duck farm where we had to manage 500 ducks and producing the egg, sell it, and the whole thing. I would be the COO, managing the operation side of things. We would have like a grocery. I think I'm mostly in the operational side of things, making sure things running. My sister, on the other hand side, more the CFO side of things, which I didn't touch.
Ah, yeah.
So
You know what
yeah,
what I haven't really talked about enough on this show is that relationship between the entrepreneur and the entrepreneurs and how they need each other, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because
right.
the entrepreneur gets all the glory because they're the ones making
Hmm.
it happen and they're the ones risking, the most, of course. But
Yeah,
they need all of these entrepreneurs to help them do things, to help them manage the ducks, for example,
race,
right?
race. Yeah, get things happen, make things happen. And
Right.
it's sometimes the success or failure of company is highly dependent on some of the early employees.
Yeah.
Are they delivering value? Are they producing the right product? Are they serving the right early customers? That's very important. So it's like entrepreneurs are the key to a successful company. So that's why, I mean, hopefully all the entrepreneurs are getting a good stock options,
Ah, right.
hopefully they deserve it. They earned it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my opinion on entrepreneurship.
It's funny. Um, all of the things you said that an entrepreneur should do, right, and create value and deliver and all that. There's this other element that I'm exploring that they also have to give a shit.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know
Uh-huh.
how you measure that. You're not going to put that in the job description, right? But in a way, you got to find people that care.
Yes.
And then the rest of it is probably the other things to do. But if they don't care, it's just
About
a
the problem they are solving. And what's
exactly.
the point in life? It's too short. You wake up, you're gonna work on things you care about. What I found typically, Bill, is like if someone who's doing their job and they're blocked or not getting their outcome, they're getting pissed off or
Ah,
mad. Well, obviously they care about this, they're passionate about it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be pissed off, right?
ah,
So yeah, so it's like, that's why I was like, generally curiosity, generally passionate about the work you are doing, and can get emotional on the outcomes. You know this person care about the
so
work.
how many times in your entrepreneurial career before you founded, they said, were you just pissed off about things at companies where you worked?
Well, not really like a pissed off. Where for me, I always in a small startup companies. Like I mean, maybe the most familiar one would be the user testing. I was the first salespeople there. Everything in the startup, everything broke, everything's not working. But I thrive in chaos, right? I was
Uh,
like, of course it's not broken. Like for me, I wouldn't get pissed off. I was like, okay, this is not working today. Tomorrow was not working. My job is like fixing this problem along the way. So to me, it's normal. But for some people who are new to this kind of a chaos, they might be pissed off. So for me, I was like, well, this is kind of life, right? It's what we do.
So you just said, oh, well, this is just something we have to fix. So let's just start fixing it.
Yeah, it's like taking action.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like I don't like to take the victim mentality, like, oh, this is
Yeah.
not working because of Y and the Z. More it's like, okay, sure, this is not working. What actions can we do to change it? Or like, also I don't want to take the victim mentality. Say, oh, I'm a woman entrepreneur. I'm a woman in sales, which is tech sales, which is a guy's world. When I first started sales, people say, no, no, no. Immigrants with a bad English cannot do enterprise sales, and I did it. And then they will say women and immigrants with bad accents cannot do sales leadership. Then I do that, right? So I'm not saying like I fully acknowledge the world is not fair, right? It's, as a woman entrepreneur, as woman in tech, you get less advantage, but so what? It's I'm not the first day grow. I'm not born the first day. I realize this unfairness, but just live with it and use my own action to change the outcome. And maybe by changing my outcome, my one person can inspire other people.
Yeah.
They'll be like, you know what? That's not true. Lihong was the one that used to be immigrants, but she did sales. She had bad accent. She did sales, and she, was an individual contributor. Then she's a leader. Then she's an entrepreneur. So it's like, you know, I think I think I posted on my LinkedIn. It's like, the greatest love or passion for life is not that the world is perfect, the world is great. It's a full and clear understanding that the world is fucked up. It's not perfect. It's not fair.
Yeah.
But you still
Yeah.
happily working hard to improve it every day. So that's my attitude. It's like, yeah, it's okay. The world is not perfect. Let's just fix it
It's
one by
funny.
one.
I don't want to get into the sports thing, but my friends who play golf and they hit a bad shot and they get mad. And I say to them, yeah, but of course you hit a bad shot. You're not good. We're like normal people aren't good. We're supposed to hit bad shots. And then once in a while hit a good one. And everyone thinks the opposite. So they get all upset about it. And
Yeah,
it feels like
yeah.
you have the same attitude with this to say, well, of course things are unfair or against me or hard or difficult or challenging, not
Hmm.
easy. And 10% of the time it's going to be easy. 90% it's going to
Yeah.
be hard. That's why we wake up in the morning.
Exactly. And just accept it what it is. Otherwise, you're gonna be pissed off the rest of your life. At least for my situation is I will be unhappy victim mentality the rest of my life. So, like I'm not sometimes I tell people when I first come to US, I went to community college and all these people were complaining I couldn't get A because I had 16 courses. It was like I have 16 courses and I have a full-time job, but then I'm still getting A, right? Because in the just do what you can do. You cannot change the world, but starting by
Right.
changing a little bit about yourself
Yeah.
and improving it. So that's kind of maybe we're a little bit out of topic, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's why I think entrepreneurs are the best. Every time when I see an entrepreneur wanted to make a difference, when I see the hunger in their eyes to make a difference, I was like,
Yeah.
oh yes, this is the one I want to hire. This is someone that I want to coach. So yeah, very excited to talking to you and meeting. Maybe my voice will reach more entrepreneurs out there in the world.
Yeah. They're out there and they don't want to be regular
Yeah.
people. We want to be something extra or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so, okay. Now, I guess you're starting this company. You're no longer an entrepreneur. We're going to label you an entrepreneur now. We're going to
Right.
label you.
Sure.
Right, right. Okay. So you're starting this company to address, they said, and you're addressing the customer experience. And
Hmm.
so you are bringing, really, it seems to me like you're bringing to the world this customer measurement called customer perceived value,
Value. That's right.
right?
Maybe I can give you a background of how I started the company
Yeah,
and how CPV, customer perceived value, is born. Would that be helpful
that
for
would
the
be really
audience to
good.
know?
Yep.
Cool, cool. I would say, for someone who's an entrepreneur, I actually wasn't like pushing to become an entrepreneur. If I want to become an entrepreneur, I can become an entrepreneur 10 years ago. I mean, it's like I enjoy being an entrepreneur. And I actually picked the worst time to become an entrepreneur when my baby was 3 weeks old.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I mean, I was like, that's the worst time. Why did you do this to yourself, right?
Yes.
Why do you do this? And I look at this is like, well, what Theysaid is trying to solve. What basically I can tell you what Theysaid does. We are our mission is we basically find early risks of churn and growth opportunities. So basically, if I look at all the previous company I work for, well, only any of the future company I'm going to work for, retention problem is always going to be plaguing me forever. So I think like, you know, when we actually were starting Theysaid, a lot of people know us about Nefset. We were actually building a solution to help customer success leaders, customer CSMs, to be more productive using customer data to work on the customer that matters and more efficiently. So because of that, I joined as kind of CCO, early employee. I interviewed about 500 CS leaders in a period of 18 to 24 months. And what I found was very surprising. Then the CS leader was like, well, this is great, but we don't have data to prioritize our day. I was like, what do you mean you don't have data? You have health score, you have NPS, you have product usage data, you have a bunch of this stuff. Why don't you have data to prioritize your day? And then their answers were, well, those are not actionable. It was like, what do you mean? So by applying answering this, I realized, oh yeah, a lot of these are not very actionable because if you look at product usage and whatever, it's using a bunch of behavior and using kind of data aggregate to guess whether or not the customer needs help, right? But then it's like the answers coming directly from the customers is the most direct. You don't need to guess. You just ask the patient, what's wrong with you, right? And people are only asking NPS and CSAT.
Right.
And they're not very actionable. I mean, I won't talk details about this. We can debate about NPS on that. So it's like, what is a good way to do that? That doesn't cost us a lot of money, that is accurate. Then we design this customer journey post program is by asking the specific right question to the right role at the right time of the journey to take action. Because these questions are personalized and very specific, you got really specific response and therefore to take action. And then when our early customers like, well, this is great, but NPS is one number. It's easier. Your data is better, but it's harder for me to get budget approval and to use. So it's like, okay, what is the simple one score? What is the simple metric that's easy to communicate, but also deliver the same thing? Prediction of whether or not the customer will leave you or leave you. And that's when CPV was born. And like I said, why did I become an entrepreneur? At the end of last year, Nefset's main core product was acquired by ClickUp. And they leave this like customer insight engine, like journey program alone. So it's like, okay, if I don't take over this business, which has, we have proven to be having great result, have happy customers, then this product wouldn't exist. And then the thoughts of like not being able to solve the churn problem in my next company,
Right.
it's gonna frustrate me the heck out of it. Right?
Okay.
I was like, man, I'm going to another YC company. We're gonna have another churn problem. We're gonna have over and over and over. I'm just like, enough of this pain and this problem. I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna give my best effort to solve this problem. And that's why I become an entrepreneur. It's like I wouldn't become an entrepreneur if there's a solution, an option out there that, So that's why.
I find this your reason fascinating because you're saying to yourself, every other job I'm going to take, no matter what I do, I'm going to end up with having the same conversations, same problems all day long, right?
All day long.
And I don't want to do it anymore. I'm tired of sitting in the churn meetings. I'm tired of sitting in the retention, whatever those are.
Surprising churn. Yes.
Right. And like, I'm tired of a customer telling me how much they love us, and then they say we're canceling. That's the
Exactly.
worst,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to fix it once and for all, you say, and I'm going to, or at least attempt to, and do
Yes.
this thing, and then
Yes.
I'll solve it for everyone forever, and I'll be happy.
Exactly. That's why I was like that's the main reason I want to become an entrepreneur. I was like,
Yeah.
uh, I I want to use this solution for the rest of my career,
Right.
and I want this to exist when I have become an entrepreneur in another company. I have the solution today in front of me. I can solve this elegantly, cost efficiently, and quickly. So I don't want complicated system, AI aggregate all this data, making the guesses. It's almost like in the surgery room, you have all the heart monitors, blood pressures,
Yeah.
whatever, where you just like ask the customer, he's a human being.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
ask them what's wrong. Oh, you have a knee problem. Why are we checking the heart pressure? Like it's stupid, right? It's so obvious in front of you. So that's why.
Okay. So if I could ask just a final dumb question on this, it's like, okay, let's say this does get solved in 5 years. It's like, okay,
Yes.
I'm being silly here. You're going to sell the company and go get a job at a YC company and then buy the software. And then you'll be an entrepreneur and be happy because you'll have your solution. Is that it?
Yes. I would be happy about that solution. Yes.
Interesting. That's funny. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the problem you were trying to solve and how CPV comes in because you said that you wanted to figure out why don't we ask the patient, right? So
Mhm.
you said ask the right person at the right time, who's the right persona, the question, and then there's too
Right.
many of them, so it's too much data, and it's like all these situations. And you said, what's the one question? So is the one question about what's the perceived value from the words of the customer that sums up all of that? Is that the idea?
Yeah, so it's more about like actually end up to be four question. We look into the question that we ask customer journey. Like typically in a journey program, we will ask one question every 3 to 4 weeks that take customer 5 to 10 seconds to answer. So it's a pulse. It's not
Okay.
like a quarterly health checkup that like your QBR meeting or whatever meeting that would take an hour. No, it's a quick pulse check, like how your opinion toward this area. And we find four areas that is actually consistently being able to predict whether or not a customer will receive value from you. And then our belief is only when the customer receive value from you would they stay,
Ah,
not when they love you. Like
right.
in a situation, for example, I has a for example, the CPV score for Salesforce is really high for me. Maybe the NPS is low. It's like I hate Salesforce. They kind of kidnap me. But I need it,
Right.
right? And then so like, what is the need question? Like you can't say, do you need it, right? So we CPV is actually consists of four questions, and you can actually configure the weighting to come up with a number, and then the most highly weighted question is, are we solving a critical problem for you?
Okay.
Are we solving a problem? If we are not solving a problem for you, why are you buying us? Right?
Right.
And then secondly is, are we solving this problem in an elegant solution? Maybe the solution is a product. Maybe it's your service. Maybe it's service for a product. Like what is, let's simplify it as a product. Are we solving it with a good product, right? And number three is, are we selling in a reasonable pricing compared to the value you receive, right? The pricing question. And then lastly, people. Is those people that I interact with adds value to my overall experience rather than like, just wait until the time you like, for example, like I would say let's take Salesforce example. Are they solving a critical problem for me? 4 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. With a product that's elegant, I don't think Salesforce product is that UI US friendly. I'll put it as 3, right? Pricing, not great. I'll put it as 3. People, 3. They only contact me when it's time to renew or collect more money from me,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So then, but the CP rating is like problem, it's probably 65% of the equation. Everything else, like product maybe 30%, pricing 25%, people 10%, right? So you still have come up with a CPV score that